Hello, I finally had a chance to look at a few more of the newspapers today, and as I suspected, the truth is starting to get out. It's not, the Phillip Schofield story is important, but it's what lies behind that which is significantly more important. Emily Maddock, who was head of news this morning from September to December 2019, has said, "Did I experience a toxic atmosphere? Yes. Sexism? Yes. Bullying? Yes. Homophobia? Yes. A culture of intimidation." And the person at the head of that culture of intimidation was Frizzell. Frizzell, and not only Frizzell, but Kevin Ligo's daughter is now. She now gets her client Josie Gibson the top job of replacing Phillip Schofield. So it's all very bourgeoisque. If you catch the Sunday brunch, I'm afraid I got quite excited about it all and ranted for about 13 minutes, which I'm not going to do here. It's already done. It's already captured. But Carolyn McCall, these are the people who are going to be put under the spotlight. And was there toxic culture? There's enough evidence that there was, so they're going to have to wriggle a great deal to avoid that charge. But I think then the ball is going to shift to the Secretary of State for Digital Culture, Media and Sport, or however that's truncated, and whatever the acronym means today. Frankly, who cares, because nobody does anything there. Nobody answers mail, nobody processes information, people sit on facts. So in 2019, there was a committee assembled to look at the ITV problem of Love Island and Caroline Flack and Jeremy Kyle. And once they'd heard from production and there was an election, the committee was suspended and it was never reconvened. Why bother? They got all the information they wanted. They then went on and produced an Ofcom regulation which gave even more power to production. So frankly, government has enabled these people. And that, I'm afraid, will be the big story. That will be the story that will eventually come out. It may take a little bit more time. It's taken 23 days before we get to Frizzell, Frazzell, McCall and Ligo. But they're as bound up in this drama as Phillip Schofield. I'm not for 1 minute suggesting Schofield is going to get away scot-free. Why should he? But when it comes to safeguarding, the only people who are being safeguarded in this particular drama are the senior execs, and I don't think it's going to work. I think in the end there's going to be a lot of swords out and they're all going to have to fall on them. And not only are they going to have to fall on them, but I think the present Secretary of State for Digital Culture, Media and Sport, Liz Fraser, is going to have to do a little bit of talking. She hasn't done much. The only thing she really talks about are things outside her remit, to do with government and asylum and all these other bits and pieces. It's time for her to actually start doing her job. But I think it might be a little bit too late and she needs to be replaced. If she's being replaced, maybe Rishi Sunak can seize the day and replace Suella Braverman at the same time. It's time that Ministry of Digital Culture, Media and Sport, or whatever we want to call it, was run by somebody who had an interest in the subject and took it seriously. Because television needs to be reformed if it is going to survive into the latter part of the 21st century. We might just shrug our shoulders and say, well, it's not going to survive. Why should we bother? Why do we care? Because it's television that has defined our culture over the last 100 years. And I think some form of television, even if that's on the internet, is going to define our culture for the next 100 years, and along with radio. And we need to be ready to grip that. It's not about the restrictions that we place, because those restrictions are false. It's about enabling the creativity and ensuring that that the creativity is positive. If all we hear is the negatives, that's all we get. And at the moment, it's the cheap television that defines us. It's the cheap television where people aren't really, where people are doing it by numbers and they're not really thinking a lot, where we get to see the real real beating heart of the machine, and it's not very pretty. And that beating heart of the machine is defined by manufactured personalities. And when you strike into the heart of them, as we've just done with Phillip Schofield, as we did with Caroline Flack, the carapace crumbles because nobody can survive that sort of scrutiny. Because these are manufactured personalities, and the real personality has been submerged with all this frippery. And I think it's terribly, terribly sad. The people we should hold responsible are production and, frankly, government. This is something that should go much higher than whether or not Phillip Schofield has had a dalliance with somebody who, let's just say we should call him M, because his name is all over the internet. It's only mainstream media that doesn't mention his name. And he's talented too, by the way. He's talented, and I think Phillip Schofield is talented enough to have another career. I don't think it'll be in television. I think it might well be in drama. He's an extremely talented musical theatre performer, and that probably is where he should find his home. He was so good in Dr. Dolittle.